What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made these beautiful, delicious, smoky, cheesy, fully loaded, scratch-made barbecue nachos. Coming up! This is some barbacoa, which I got started making last night. Going with some mesquite today. These are some beef cheeks. Ooh. You've seen me make barbacoa plenty of times on this channel before, so we're gonna just breeze through this, but no trimming today because we're gonna shred all this up, but I'm gonna go on and hit it with a rub. Today I'm going with some good old-fashioned Chud rub, on sale now at shopchuds.com, and we're just gonna get a nice coating on here. Again, if you've never made barbacoa before, it is the most forgiving cut there is to cook, because we can taste this at the end and adjust for overall seasoning once it's shredded up. So really we just wanna get some salt on here, some pepper on here, just to cook away in the smoke, give us some extra flavor, but we really don't have to be too precise. Oh yeah, just get it all over, folks. Looking good to me. On the pit we go. And like I said, barbacoa is super easy. I've done this on the offset, I've done this on the Chud box, I've done it on the Weber kettle. Whatever cooker you got, this will work for you, because we're really just trying to cook some of the moisture out, get some smoke on here, get some color on here. And today we're gonna go hot and fast with some mesquite, cooking around 300, 325 for probably only a couple hours. And then we'll check back in. It's been like 4 hours of definitely one of the laziest cooks I've ever done on this channel. I just let this fire rock for a while and now it's gone pretty low. Let's see how this barbacoa is looking. Looking good to me. Smelling nice, smelling smoky, nice and dark. Got some bark on there. That's all we're looking for. So into the crock pot it goes. Yoink. Ooh, it does smell nice with that mesquite smoke on there. I tell you what. And I've done this many ways. I've done this in sous vide. I've done this in a big tub with some fat in the oven. But honestly, the crock pot works great. You can stay outside, doesn't stink, holds a nice low temperature. But basically we're gonna confit this overnight, and all the juice that's gonna render out and all the fat that's gonna render out of the cheeks, plus a healthy amount of beef fat that I'm throwing on top right now. And I'm also gonna go in with a handful of garlic, boop, a nice white onion, a couple of jalapenos, and a couple of bay leaves. On we go with our lid, and here it shall sit on low until tomorrow. And after a nice long, low and slow overnight cook, this stuff is absolutely falling apart. Nice and tender. So out we come into this perforated half pan that is inside of this other half pan, so we can separate all the meat from the fat. Oh yeah, shredding up real nice. And probably some of the tastiest onions you're ever gonna see. Pick these bay leaves out of here. Don't need that. Oh yeah. And we're just gonna mix this up till it's nicely shredded. And a lot of that fat has gone through the holes in the bottom of this thing because we don't wanna have a greasy barbacoa on our hands. Looking good. Some beautiful barbacoa. And the best part about using the old crock pot here is now we can put it all back in there and keep it warm until we're ready to use it. Smelling so good out here. And of course, be sure to taste this for seasoning. It's so beefy, so sticky. Got a little sweetness in there from the onion and the garlic that confit with it. Oh, love it. I'm gonna add a fat pinch of some kosher salt. Mix this all together, and our barbacoa is done. Away this goes on its warm setting. Next up, let's make some pickled jalapeños. Going for a nice medium thickness here, but you do you. I've seen these super thin, super thick, but I think these will work out well today. So into a jar here, I'm going in with a couple cloves of garlic, and we're just gonna stuff as many of these in there as we can. As for our brine, we're going in with some water and some white vinegar, followed by some kosher salt, some white sugar, some black peppercorns, and some turmeric. Give that a nice little whisk and let that come up to a boil. And once boiling, over the jalapenos we go. Oh yeah, oh there it is. Thought I was gonna get away with this without making a mess. Lids go on, and all we gotta do is let these sit until they cool down, pop them in the fridge till they're cold, and our pickled jalapenos will be done. Next up, we gotta make a nacho cheese sauce. Starting out with shredding a whole block of some Tillamook sharp cheddar. Oh yeah, because you can't have nachos without some nacho cheese, folks. Next up into this pot, we're going in with some milk, as well as some sodium citrate. That's just an emulsifying salt that's gonna make sure this cheese sauce doesn't split, because cheddar cheese tends to do that when you melt it. So we're gonna let this come up to a simmer real quick. And once up to a simmer, in we go with all of our cheese. And once all of our cheese is nicely melted, I'm gonna go in with the immersion blender just to make sure everything is nice and smooth. And there we have it, folks. A beautiful, velvety, creamy nacho cheese sauce made out of nothing but sharp cheddar, some milk, and a little sodium citrate. And I was gonna go in here with some pickled jalapenos or make my own rotel or something like that, but we're gonna be adding a whole bunch of toppings to these nachos, so I think I'm gonna leave this cheese sauce just the way it is. Well, maybe a couple shots of some Texas Pete, why not? Oh, that looks lovely. And of course, as you're making this, if it's too thick, you can always add some more milk. And if it's too thin, just add some more cheese until you get that beautiful, perfect, velvety texture. Oh, love it. Keep this warm. Next up, we're gonna bust out a real quick Pico de Gallo. Beautiful. Next up, I'm gonna attempt to make my own tortilla chips. And I've tried this once before and it didn't go well, so I'm gonna give it my best shot. So into this bowl here, I'm going in with some yellow masa harina, followed by a pinch of salt, tiny pinch of some baking powder, and some vegetable oil. I was gonna use lard, but I didn't have any at room temp. And we're just gonna give that a little bit of a mix before we add in our water. This is just some hot water. And this is a very low hydration dough, so it's gonna look real shaggy. We're gonna kind of compress it into a dough ball, kind of like making biscuits or something. And after a few minutes of combining and kneading, we've got ourselves a dough. We're gonna let this rest for a little bit. After our dough is rested, onto a tortilla press it goes in between two sheets of plastic. And we're just gonna attempt to get this as flat as possible. Do not recommend this tortilla press. I bent the handle. So I'm using this guy as a fulcrum. And there we go, as thin and as flat as I can make it. Now we're gonna cut it up, yoink. What the hell was that? Into some tortilla-shaped pieces, and then into the fryer we go. So after 3 batches, this is what I've learned. Batch number 1, where I just pressed it, cut them, and threw them in, were way too thick. And they're just kinda not crispy, they're just kinda cakey. Not ideal. For batch number 2, in the middle here, I did the same thing where I pressed these out into this shape, and then I pressed each chip again individually, which gave us this oblong shape. And these look pretty good, but they were a little dark. So I went a little lighter, same method on the 3rd batch, and these are looking pretty tasty. Nice and crispy, got some good bubblage on them. This one curled up, and yeah, they're pretty crispy. Now I will continue on. Gotta say, folks, this is truly a pain in the butt. Probably not even worth it. Well, that confirms my suspicions about this crappy tortilla press. That's great. And it's still not even that flat. All right, well, I guess that limits the amount of chips we're gonna make. Well, I guess that leads us to our second option. Oh, this is much easier. I just can't believe that thing broke. So, to summarize, I was gonna use my homemade solid steel tortilla press here that I use for making flour tortillas, but it just doesn't have enough torque, you know? It's really great for pressing things like smash burgers and flour tortillas, but a low hydration corn dough is just a little too much for it, unless you've got extreme arm power on your side. So that's why I got the other one, because it's got that fulcrum on it that really helps increase power for flattening things. And I bought the cheapest one I could find on Amazon, which turns out is not a good idea. But you know, it's made out of solid metal. I thought it would hold up to a dough, but apparently not. So when I did a test run of these earlier today, the arm actually bent while I was pressing out the tortillas, which is why I was using this bench scraper to add another focal point so I could get some more pressure on it, and then it snapped conveniently while the camera was running. So that's great. Anywho, I'm gonna toss these corn tortillas that were store-bought into the fryer, and we're gonna see how they come out. Boop. Oh, look at them go. And I'm only gonna fry these for about a minute or so. We don't want to get any too dark or absorbing too much oil. So once they start being nice and puffy and still nice and golden, I'm gonna pull them out and then probably pop them into an oven to keep warm until we are ready to serve. Beautiful. At long last, it is time to assemble our nachos. Starting with a layer of our beautiful tortilla chips, followed by a nice healthy squirt of our nacho cheese sauce. Oh God, just look at it, folks. And then a little bit of barbacoa, just a layer. We're gonna layer these nachos, because you don't want all the meat sitting on top, you know what I mean? And then some more of our beautiful chips. Some more gooey cheese. Ooh, this is working really well in the squirt bottle. I was worried about it. Oh, we're gonna go heavy. Gotta be cheesy. A little bit more of our beautiful shredded barbacoa. Folks, if you haven't made this barbacoa yet, you are missing out. It is one of my favorite things to make. It's one of the few things that I make off camera, just to keep around, you know? Freezes really well too. Just for good measure, just a little drizz. Oh yeah, gotta be done, gotta be done. Next up, some of our beautiful pickled jalapeños. A nice smattering, if you will, followed by some of our pico de gallo. Just toast all over the place. Add some nice crunch, some nice oniony flavor. That lime juice is really gonna help lighten this up a little bit, if it was even possible to lighten this up. Then on top of that, we're gonna go on with a nice little dusting of some cotija, just to bring a little extra funk, add a little more cheesy flavor, but mostly because it just looks awesome. Oh, love it. And last but not least, we'll top this with a couple of leaves of some cilantro. That way when it's on its way, it at least looks a little healthier. And there we have it, folks. My barbecue nachos are done. I think it's time to dive in. But first, would you just look at it? So cheesy, fully loaded, meaty, crunchy. Oh, I'm ready. I mean, where do you even start with a pie like this? Oh, there we go. Perfect bite, a little bit of everything. Nice and cheesy, nice and crunchy. Still holding up. That's a good sign. Oh, that is lovely. Oh, yeah. Nothing wrong with that bite, folks. I'm supposed to change camera angles right now, but I just can't stop diving in. Oh, that's awesome. You know, what's not to like about a big stack of barbecue nachos, you know? Creamy, cheesy, crunchy, smoky, fatty. And we got pickled jalapeno on this one. Oh, that makes it. It's a good pickled jalapeno. It adds that added tang and acidity that you really need. A little extra spice never hurt anybody either. Say that to my butt. Ooh. It's so good. And there's just so many ways this recipe could go, you know? Throw some pulled pork on there. Throw some brisket on there. Ooh, there it is, the ultimate bite. Got a jalapeno fully loaded with pico and cheese. Ooh, that's a meaty boy. Oh, I could keep going all night. I'm telling you, if you show up to a football game with a big pile of these, or maybe just one of those big foil pans just full of this stuff, pop that in the oven real quick, you're gonna be the hero. Tell them you made your own pickled jalapenos, and they'll give you free beer. That cheese sauce is so perfect. Because it actually tastes like sharp cheddar, but it's still nice and gooey, you know? Didn't split on us at all, which is something that I hate about nachos. When people just put shredded cheddar on top and it gets all gooey and weird. That's unbelievable. I love these videos because, you know, when was the last time you put a lot of effort into making nachos, right? So good. That mesquite smoke on the barbacoa is coming through. You got some nice heat and tang from these pickles. That pico just blends right in, adds that nice freshness that you're looking for. That's a winner. That is a winner. Woo, that was a spicy one. All right, I gotta stop. But I won't. It was so good. These homemade tortilla chips are perfect because they're a little bit sturdier than some of the really crispy thin ones you're gonna get at the grocery store. And it just holds up to all this slop really well. And it's still crispy. Love it. Love that. So I'm on a diet. That's why I made this meal.
I love nachos. These are loaded.
Yeah, the pickled jalapenos really add exactly what you need to make it a nacho.
Yeah, it's packing some heat for sure.
When was the last time you had nachos?
It's been a hot minute and I love nachos. I don't know why I don't eat them more. The nachos that my mom used to make were just shredded cheddar on top of Tostitos and microwaved. Yeah,
that sounds about right. That's why nachos get a bad rep. Then again, I also don't recommend spending 2 full days making your nachos.
Yeah.
There's a happy middle ground in there.
Yeah.
Well, before we run out, I think it's time for the official taste test. Let me pick one with extra onions for you. All right, y'all, that is it. That is how to make some absolutely incredible barbecue nachos. I highly recommend you give this one a try, but I don't think I really need to convince you. You know, you really got it all. You got your salt, fat, acid, heat, that wonderful mix of gourmet and trashy, and a whole bunch of textural contrast that makes this an amazing bite. So no matter what kind of barbecue you've got, I highly recommend whipping up some nachos for your next football game. But that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace!